artist now we're going to work on the wet on wet blending. In order for wet on wet blending to work, you need to have your colors mixed first, because as you're practicing this, you can tell that watercolor dries relatively quickly. So if we want them to blend, both colors have to be wet. Now this also works best when you pick colors that are close on the color wheel. So for instance, if I wanted to use my blue violet here, I could pick colors that are more towards the red side or more towards the blue side. I want to stay away from oranges and greens and yellows because they're going to blend in some undesirable ways. So I'm going to make a mixture just like I did before. Now if you're finished with that color, you can clean it up, wipe it out, or you could use that for this next step if you don't want to mix another one. I'm going to go in for my blue. Okay, I'm going to swirl that around. And I have my blue here. So it says allow your wet areas to overlap and blend. So I'm going to start filling in my wet area. Now this is a practice sheet, so you want to practice your neatness, okay? This is where you get to kind of get a feel for what the paint does, how much you put on, before we go on to our final copy. Now this one needs to be a little wetter than the last one. Okay, so now I'm going to go right to this color here. And then where they meet, you can see when I tap it in together, they start to blend. So you want them to blend together. You don't want to rub them all together because you still want them to be separate in their own way, but you want them to organically blend. So I don't want you to take your brush and swish it all together. Okay, you want them to blend and fade together. And this technique is really useful if you're doing water, or if you're doing sky, or just some really pretty effects. It could be on a flower or things like that. It has a lot of applications that you could use. Okay, so that is wet on wet blending.